New dads are, quote, losers if they take 6 months paternity leave, prominent venture capitalist says. Well, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with this at all. And I didn't want to give it the time of day because I think that it just gives more, power to the people who think that they can say things like that. Uh, but at the same time, I think I need to, as a dad myself, I think I need to say something. So, a prominent venture capitalist is under fire for calling new dads losers if they take months of paternity leave. Palantir co-founder Joe Lonsdale responded to a tweet Wednesday about U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, who took off work to care for his twin newborns. Any man in an important position who takes 6 months of leave for a newborn is a loser. This is quoting, by the way. In the old days, men had babies and worked harder to provide for their future. That's the correct masculine response, end quote. Buttigieg took off only 2 months for paternity leave, not six. There's a tweet here about Joe Rogan. Apparently, Joe Rogan didn't know paternity leave exists while criticizing Buttigieg. Meanwhile, the company he works for, which is Spotify, offers 6 months of paid parental leave regardless of gender. Wow. Great for fathers to spend time with their kids and support moms. But any man in an important position who takes 6 months of leave for a newborn is a loser in the old days, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I already read this. So Lonsdale's retweet sparked outrage in the venture capitalist world. Reddit co-founder Alexis Ohanian responded to Lonsdale's tweet, writing that he, quote, proudly took his full paternity leave and would do it again. Quote, turns out it helped me win even more, he said. Gary Tan, founder of the Initialized Capital, defended his firm's 4-month paternity leave. Respect that people have different choices, but being a dad is awesome, and there is more to life than work and money, he wrote on Twitter. Lonsdale later said using the word, quote, loser was, quote, unnecessary, and that, quote, he respects that there are different approaches to this and shouldn't have been so harsh. However, he stood by his initial comment about traditional gender roles. That's what it sounds like more to me. That's what what he's trying to make a grandstand about than, people taking the time off. His initial tweet was in response to Axios reporter Dan Primack, who criticized podcast Joe Rogan, host Joe Rogan, comments about Buttigieg. Lonsdale, like Rogan, is known for making provocative right-wing statements. In November 2020, Lonsdale moved from San Francisco to Austin, Texas, saying he was angry with California's taxes and liberal ideas. He is currently a managing partner at 8VC. I thought like QVC, a venture capitalist firm that manages several $billion in committed capital. So, as a father, and as somebody who thinks that we probably do put too much stake in the, quote, hustle culture, in, quote, you're only worth what you're able to work. I think that I think it's important that I honestly I don't even think that the maternity leave is enough, right? I remember when we had our two kids, my wife had, I think, 3 months of maternity leave. I basically got nothing. And but I was able to make it work to the best of I think I took a week off after my daughter was born, or she was already alive. No, I think I took a week off when my son was born, and that was about it. I don't even think it was, maybe it wasn't even a week. I think I think he was born on a Monday, and maybe I took 3 or 4 days. I guess it was that. Yeah, I took that week off. But the point being is that when you look at other countries and how they're operating their paternity leaves, I mean, in one case, I think it was Ukraine gets like 3 years or something like that for maternity leave, which I think is a bit extended. I don't think that it should be that long, but I do think that 6 months. If you can take that 6 months, and you say your wife has 6 months, now you have a combined year between the two of you to like bridge the gap and to get to know your kid, and get to bond with them, I'm a big believer in it takes more. It takes a town to raise a kid, right? But I also think it takes parenting to raise a kid as well. And being able to give that time to your kids is just so critical. And I see it like with my kids, where before before the illness and me being home basically 24/7, I was not home that much, and my son, who at the time was like a year and a half old, didn't really want much to do with me. He just mostly wanted mommy for like 99.9% of the time. And it hurt, it hurt. I'm not around. She is home. She left her job as a teacher to stay home. And she was with him, and I'm glad that she was able to be with him. But once the illness happened, I was able to be home with him, and within 2, 3, 4 months, all of a sudden, he wanted me as much as he wanted her. So being able to have that time, it's so critical. And I think that when you only get 3 months, with a newborn, is in the grand scheme of things, is so small. It's such a small amount of time. Now, with that said, we aren't planning on having more than two kids, and I could see where people might like abuse it, where it's like, oh, I get 6 months, and then we're gonna have another kid, and then I go back to work for 3 months, and basically just become child factories. Which is fine. That's a way to live. But I get the fear of the people that are worried about people abusing the system. But I think that, by and large, most people won't abuse it. And yeah, there's always going to be somebody that figures, decides to make that choice of like, I'm going to abuse this in the way that I want to take advantage of it. But I always say, like, you can't live by that standard, right? By the fear of something, the fear of people abusing it, or whatever. And look, at the end of the day, if those people raise good upstanding citizens, right, and they're home, then potentially that's more workers, more entrepreneurs to create more businesses, and more people to do, to help run the economy, and hopefully be productive members of society. So it's still it's a long-term investment, but it potentially has huge ramifications going forward. So yeah,